This time on the David Freiburger channel, it is another junk hunting road trip. This time in my 99 Dodge Ram V10 4x4, and I'm exploring in Arizona and New Mexico. All right, we're kicking this thing off in Hullbrook, Arizona. Man, I'm sick. As a matter of fact, that ties into how this whole thing got started. I've been sitting around at home, I've got this cold. I'll try and edit all the hacking and coughing out of the video so you won't have to deal with it. But I decided to hit the road. So I hopped in my trusty Dodge V10, basically because I didn't want to get in an old car and have to be working on it in the wind and freezing cold while I'm trying to get over being sick. So I needed reliability. Anyway, I cannonballed here from LA to Hullbrook last night. I've cruised Hullbrook a little bit. I've been here quite a bit. I'm gonna show you some of it, but what I wanna do is hit the road and try and get some places where I've never been before. And so let's hop in the truck, get out of the wind. I'll cruise you through Hullbrook just a little bit, and then we will be on the open road to places unknown. That old 30s gas station I was parked in front of was pretty cool. Actually, all of Hullbrook is pretty cool. It's kind of a standard Route 66 Arizona town. Last night when I got here, I ate at a place called Mr. Mastas. It's a restaurant and antique store, very eclectic. The building feels like it's leaning in towards the street. The whole place shakes when semi-trucks go by. It's actually pretty great. Highly recommended in Hullbrook. So let's cruise through and see some of the sort of neat stuff. Already cruising into some of the landmarks here. There's the old El Rancho Hotel sign, or motel rather. And then there's the Powwow Trading Post. Really cool old sign and building. Mr. Mastas has a bunch of neat old vehicles parked in the back too. I love this Joe and Aggie's Cafe, the old cafe sign, and the pictures of their faces on the front. Super cool. Probably one of the best known things in Hullbrook is the Wigwam Motel, because it's so Route 66 kitsch. It is hotel rooms that are designed like concrete teepees. I showed you another one of these places in Rialto, California in an earlier Route 66 video. Of course, this is the hotel that inspired the traffic cone hotel in the movie Cars. It's pretty cool. Roxy Theater. Oh, the other landmark here is the Petrified Forest. Petrified wood. I'm not going over there, but it's worth seeing if you're in the area. And I think the last really well-known thing in Hullbrook is this rock store right here with the dinosaurs, big old concrete dinosaurs. But my favorite, just past the dinosaurs, I am turning in here to Bucket of Blood Street. This place has been here since the 1880s. I think the railroad depot here is 1882. And here's the Bucket of Blood Saloon. So this is the old part of town. You can see that the buildings are very, very handmade looking. it's been kind of an uneventful day. Excuse me. Still sick, still windy, still freezing. It actually just this second started snowing a little bit. I'm not sure you can see it on the video. I headed out of Hullbrook and went down to St. John's, Springerville, place called Eagar, it's E-A-G-A-R, then crossed into New Mexico, went to Quemado, and then here I am in Pie Town, New Mexico. Now, this is named for pie, and I did intend to have one, but both the pie shops are closed. It is a Tuesday. There's some cool stuff here, but of course, you know my favorite, the old abandoned gas station. Pretty great. Freezing. All right, I'm gonna get out of here, keep hitting the road, see what comes up next. Well, I saw some pretty cool towns. I love the old signs and everything, but now it's turning into dusk. I've got about 28 miles to go until Sakoro, where I'm spending the night, and I'm thinking it'll be too dark to show you anything there, so we'll get up in the morning and see if we can find better greatness than we found today. Good morning from Sakoro, New Mexico, where in 1964, a UFO landed right here. And you know that because it says UFO on the ground. It's a fact. All right, I'm gonna four-wheel my way back out of here. I'll go cruise downtown Sakoro a little bit. There's a couple cool old signs there, not too much. And then I'll hit the road again to I don't even know where, looking for all my usuals, old gas stations, old signs, old cars. Let's go. That's it for Sakoro. I'm gonna head out of here on US 380, which sort of goes towards Roswell, New Mexico. And it's a road I'm not sure I've ever been on before, so hopefully I find good stuff. What's cool right here is I'm coming into this other little small town. So there's a big valley and it's all regular desert. And then all of a sudden, there's a big black lava flow. If you're not familiar with driving around the southwestern desert, there's a whole bunch of lava. There's just black rock. But in this one, you can very much see how a big old swath of the valley is just black rock. And then it's dirt on both sides. It's kind of cool. Now I'm carousing the small town of Kizoso, New Mexico. And over here, there are Studebaker pickups, those little half-ton pickups. I think they're super cool. I don't know a ton about them. I know they made them from 48 to 60. I think they were called the 2R, 3R. And later on, there was an E series. And I think they're the same, whether they're the big flatbed trucks or where they're the small ones. But they were really neat because for 48, they had a very distinct body shape for a pickup truck. You know, they didn't have running boards and they were kind of swoopy and sort of round and blobby and small and not very popular at all, but I think they're cool. I'm in the old main street of Kizoso, and wow, this place is cool. It really gives you the idea about what it must have been like here in the Old West. Lots of old buildings. This one, 1917. There's a really old theater, some cool signs painted on the sides of buildings. There's a Ben Franklin general store right there. Fairly well preserved, legit old stuff. Into it. This building is just about to completely collapse. So sad. I mean, there's no money to just restore them all or keep them all from caving in. But I'm always feeling lucky to see them before they actually fall in and are just gone. I think I spotted only one sign with fake patina, so that's a pretty good average. There's one more main street through here I'm about to check out. The Lyric Theater. Man, that's got to be old. All right, I'm gonna say this was the best thing I've seen yet on my Dodge Ram trip. I'm gonna motor on and go see if I can find myself a good little diner to do some lunch. Found it. You know, one of my goals on these trips is to find the great little local diners, and I did. I'm in Capitan, New Mexico, and this is Smokey Bear Cafe. Great biscuits and gravy, good cherry pie and ice cream. Highly approved if you ever find yourself in town. You need to come to this place. I don't know what to say except for more rolling, more exploring, more New Mexico. All right, I am trolling Capitan for some good stuff. Meanwhile, I wanted to explain something that I read up on. I told you that was Smokey Bear Cafe. Well, Smokey the Bear began as a public service announcement figure in 1944 by the U.S. Forest Service. And then in 1950, there was an actual bear that was found here that was injured in a forest fire that became the living representation of Smokey the Bear, as in only you can prevent forest fires, or now as in only you can prevent wildfires. They've changed it to. Once that actual bear died in 1976, the federal government, the U.S. Forest Service, shipped the body back here, and it is buried in a local park called Smokey Bear Park. So now you know. Probably more importantly for your entertainment value right now, there's a bunch of cool old trucks and buildings here. Have a look. That's it for Capitan. Now I'm in Lincoln, which has the claim to fame of Billy the Kid's last trial. Apparently in the courthouse right there, he was sentenced and shot his way out and escaped, and it was the last time that he had been busted until he got killed. There's so much Billy the Kid all around here. Every little southwestern town has, you know, Billy the Kid, Bat Masterson, Wyatt Earp, every single one of them. Every southwest town. Basically, this is just a cool little town with a bunch of neat old buildings. Old buildings. Next stop, Roswell. I think maybe there'll be something cool. Well, I started my day with aliens, UFOs in Sakoro, New Mexico, and I'm ending it with the extraterrestrial capital of the universe in Roswell, New Mexico. I'm sure you know the story. 1947, supposedly there was a alien ship that crash landed here, and it either was a hoax or maybe it wasn't. But regardless, Roswell is covered with alien stuff. It's absolutely everywhere. But the thing is, if you dig deeper into the seedier parts of town, you can also find some pretty good signature Freiburger Americana stuff. And that's what I'm going to be looking for. It's morning again, I'm out of Roswell, and now we are getting somewhere. Look at this place, Diamond Auto Parts. It's a junkyard that appears to be abandoned. It's got a for sale sign on it. It doesn't seem like it's in business at all, but look at this place. It's like a movie set. Check out the old building and all of these hubcaps. Man, I wish I could walk around inside there, but as you know, I do not trespass. Don't jump the fence, don't take stuff. Just admire it for what it is and try and buy it. If you come by here, the phone number's on the fence. Maybe one of you could score this place. Man, meanwhile, I'm gonna look around a little bit from outside the fence. Look behind me here, there are two Willys Arrows. This is a car you might not be familiar with. They made them from 52 to 55. It's Willys, as in like Willys Jeep, Willys Overland, Kaiser Willys. And they made these cars in kind of an unusual way for the time. They were unibodies, and they had the same engines as the Jeeps did. So it had a F-Ed 4-cylinder, you know, where it had the overhead intake and the in-block exhaust valve. And then, of course, they also had the inline six in them. They had models like the Aero Ace, the Aero Eagle, the Aero Lark, and ultimately they went away. And there's two of them here. I don't know a lot about them, but look how you can see the green one has a one-piece windshield and the one next to it has a two-piece windshield. So I'm assuming that the rustier two-piece windshield's the older one and the green one's the newer one. Educate me. Man, this place is cool. Wow. All right, that was worth the whole trip for me. That junkyard was really cool. You know, I think places like that pose sort of a kind of gearhead morality question, which is a lot of people say, oh man, too bad that that place is hoarded. On the other hand, there's nobody really beating down their doors to buy the place or pull cars out of it, apparently. I realize I've been here before and it looked just about the same, and that was years ago. But then ultimately you also know the stuff is gonna get crushed. So what do? Well, for me, you road trip it, you see it, you enjoy it. If you can save something, that's fantastic. If not, love it while it's still there. Look at this auto repair business. They are still active inside this ancient building that's falling down. What a juxtaposition of old and new. That was great. This green and white gas station on the corner is almost Googie architecture with the overhang on there. I really like how it's situated, wrapped around the corner there. You know what I need? If any of you know of a book that identifies vintage gas station architecture based on what brand the station was, I really need that. For example, you know, back in the day, Phillips 66 in the 30s had a very signature architecture for all their stations. And later on, you know, there was just a corporate look to the stations that I think was actually prescribed by the oil companies. And I would like a book that shows what each one of those are and what years they were active, so that when I'm out looking at gas stations, I can identify what's what. So if you know of that book, please let me know in the comments. I've looked for it. I've even ordered a couple that aren't quite there. So let me know. Finally, this main street of Hagerman obviously has some very, very old buildings. As usual, I just let my mind wander on what happened here way back in the day. It's been an interesting day topographically. I started out at that junkyard and then went through a bunch of little towns. One of them was called Hope. There was Artesia. That's an oil town, and the terrain there looks exactly like it, just wide open spaces. And then I transition up into the mountains. It has been very much curvy roads and pine trees. I just went through a little town called Cloudcroft, which is a ski area apparently, and now a steep downhill into Alamagordo. was a rare Freiburger road trip miscalculation last night. I went down that big old grade that was very cool with the tunnel and all that, and I told you I was going to Alamagordo, but by the time I got there, it was dark. And I should have stayed there and checked it out this morning, but I had already booked this hotel in a place called Ruidoso Downs. It's about 30 miles past Alamagordo. And the reason I did that is that it was half the price of anything else locally. It's the Best Western Pine Springs Inn, highly recommended. Cool little place, good site, and cheap. Anyway, I did see one thing in Alamagordo, which is their giant wood mill that's apparently been there since like 1899. And I was there taking video of it, and there was a security guard who rolled up and recognized me and offered to take me inside to tour the place. But I couldn't do it because it was too dark for video. And so unfortunately I missed that, but it does give me a goal for a future road trip. As for today, just gonna keep wandering. I'm finally at the point in my trip where I need to start aiming towards back home in Los Angeles. The first little town here is Ruidoso, which is a nice mountain sort of vacation touristy place, but not much to recommend it as far as gearhead stuff and clapped out old garbage. Now I found my way to Cedar Veil, New Mexico, which is essentially a ghost town. There's a couple of new buildings with guys doing stuff, but mostly it is ramshackle old houses and things. Lots and lots of falling down buildings. One of them that's the most spectacular is right behind me. I read the sign out on the highway and it said this whole area was developed in 1908. It was mostly for immigrants who came here and farmed pinto beans. And in 1917, they had this building assembled. Apparently it was a schoolhouse. And in 1935 and 1936, the Work Progress Administration added, I think probably this half of the building. Maybe I'm wrong, it could be the other half. But essentially, they helped the town grow. But unfortunately, that was in the aftermath of the Great Depression, and the town dried up and blew away, except for some artifacts that we can still see. And when I look at places like this, it really makes me think, you gotta get out here and see this stuff while you can. This building is just about to completely fall apart. Look at the top of the arch right there. The bricks at the top of that thing are just about to cave in. And the wall on this end, bricks are literally dangling in the breeze. The question is, will the whole wall fall, or is it just gonna start dropping bricks one by one? If I ever get to Cedar Veil again, this might not even be here. So let's go have a look, check it out. Correction, this is the gym right here. So this is the half that was built by WPA and the other half was original. going to the geometric center of New Mexico, just because that's what you do on road trips. Okay, fascinating. I'm glad people actually put together stuff like that. It's cool. All right, let's go find more junk. Now I'm investigating the small town of Willard, New Mexico. And that's it for Willard. The best part of Estancia is definitely those old corrugated buildings and the Quonset hut and that place that said beans on it. I suppose they were distributing beans there. Freiburger road trip fumble number 2 in this episode. You are gonna lose faith in me. I showed up here in Mori Arti, New Mexico, too late to get inside the legendary Lewis Antique Auto and Toy Museum. This guy has got a collection of all the exact stuff I love to see on a road trip, and I'm only gonna be able to see it over the fence and through the fence. Apparently they close at about 4 o'clock, which was probably like 20 minutes ago. Fail. To begin with, see this grater right behind me? When I was a kid, I had a toy of that about this big, fully functional, articulating in the whole thing. And I used to play in the mud and grade stuff. Are you that old? I don't know. Also, I saw another Studebaker pickup truck here. I showed you those earlier in the episode, and in reading up on them a little bit off camera, I came up with another fun fact about those Studebaker trucks. For you Mopar guys who know the designer Virgil Exner as coming up with those outlandish Mopars of the late 50s and early 60s, well, he had a hand in designing those trucks as well, because of course he was involved with Studebaker at the time, 1952 to 1955-ish. There you go. Let's see what else we can see over the fence here. Mori Arti, I'm gonna head out on Route 66. I'm gonna stay on the little road right next to I-40. and see if I can find any cool stuff on my way to perhaps Gallup, New Mexico for the night. Last night I rolled on old Route 66 as far as I could, and ultimately it just degenerates into I-40 and off-ramp America, and it's just not that cool anymore. However, I did stop in Gallup, New Mexico at El Rancho Hotel. If you've never been there, you have to check it out. It's been there since 1937. It's one of those places where all of the old movies were made back in the 40s mostly, and they have a restaurant there that's open till 10. I recommend that you go check that out. Now after that, I ended up just cannonballing here to where it all started, Hullbrook, Arizona, and that's where I'm gonna wrap the end of this trip. I will say I didn't discover huge greatness on this trip like I sometimes have. However, a day on the road is always better than a day staring at a screen somewhere. And you know my motto, you never know unless you go. And on the David Freiburger channel, I'm gonna be doing a whole lot more going. And you know what? I might even be doing a whole lot more with my 99 Ram truck. Do me a favor, subscribe, share the channel, and I'll see you next time.